I remember having a conversation with somebody once, and just mid-conversation, they kind of just paused and said to me, you know, I believe in a higher power. I believe in a higher authority, God, whatever you call it, but I just can't get behind the idea that it's good or that it's even strong if evil is allowed to exist in the way that it does. And I remember just my heart pounding because they didn't really ask me a question, but they were clearly anticipating a response. And thankfully, I felt like I did have a response because I had heard an example before and I felt like I could use it then because his daughter was in the room. And I looked over at her and I looked at him and I said, you know, I'm sure that as a dad, it can be frustrating because your daughter doesn't always do what you tell her to or what you expect her to do. I'm sure it would be much easier to father somebody who is perfectly obedient. And so I posed this question at him. I said, what if you had the chance to put a microchip in your daughter's head? And everything you did and everything you asked of her, she would just obey you because that's how she was programmed. And he kind of laughed and he's like, I would love that. And we kind of laughed about that for a second. And I would say, I'm sure you would. But, you know, over time, as you know, she honored you and she picked up what she was supposed to and she did what she was told. Every time that she would hug you and every time that she would say, I love you, you would know it wasn't real. And maybe initially it would feel good to hear that coming from her. But over time, you would know that you programmed her to do that. She wasn't saying it because she actually loved you. She was saying it because you told her to. I asked him if that made sense, and he was actually surprised. He said, no, it actually makes perfect sense. I think he understood my point. Evil exists because freedom exists. And freedom exists because ultimately God values love above anything else. And so God gives us the ability to choose Him. But since God values love so much, He will never take that away from us because He values authentic intimacy. So the reason evil exists is because we live in a world where people don't choose God. Thankfully, God has sent His Son to die on the cross for our sins. And when we put our faith in Jesus, we are actually restored to right relationship with God. Through Christ, we have the power to turn away from sin and live life by the Spirit instead of the flesh. And it is in that loving, intimate, authentic relationship with God that we become more of who we were created to be and can help others do the same.